This is wild. We're going to be talking about a recent report that suggests the best and worst landing destinations in a trade for Zach LaVine. We're going to be talking about what this means for the teams that could possibly trade for Zach LaVine and what this would mean for Zach LaVine and the Chicago Bulls. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself on another episode of Bulls Digest. And so we are jumping into an article that has Zach LaVine, Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, Jeremy Grant on this list, and it has two different scenarios. One being the best case scenario if they were traded, and the next being the worst case scenario for each star. And so obviously we're breaking down the situation with Zach LaVine. You can go ahead and find this on Bleacher Report. Under this title, it is Andy Bailey who writes this, and they're talking about the best case scenario for Zach LaVine is him heading to the Los Angeles Clippers. Let's be clear at the start, it says that Joe Cowley was the one who first mentioned this, and it also talks about another writer who came out and said that this is not coming from the Los Angeles Clippers side, but it does talk about the fact that Zach LaVine is 29 and he gets 20 points per game, and he's a lot better as a distributor than most have labeled him. And so let's start there. So I think that, yes, as far as playing style, it does make sense for Zach LaVine to go over to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think because he gets a chance to have the ball in his hand. I think he gets a chance to be creative. And I think that that is probably the best case scenario for Zach LaVine right now with his playing style. He likes to play a lot with the ball in his hand, and he likes to create that way. Now, is it going to be the best case scenario for them to win? I would say probably not. In fact, I think when the Clippers first acquired James Harden, one of the real issues that they had there is that they were playing hero ball. The fact that Tyronn Lue got them to buy into a team system, Russell Westbrook, he went ahead and volunteered to go to the bench. I think that that's where you started to see the Clippers really take off. And I question, can the Clippers really sustain that? Because that's what they're going to need. They're going to need to have some real team ball if they're going to make it out of the West and go further than they've ever gone before. And so that is including Zach LaVine over here. Now, when it comes down to the injuries and that standpoint, it makes sense to have Zach LaVine over there because if James Harden goes down, which it is a possibility, then you would still have Zach LaVine. If you have Kawhi Leonard who goes down, then that would help you out because then again you have Zach LaVine. But once again, you're actually in the same situation that you were in prior when you had Paul George, because Paul George was injury prone as well. And so if Zach LaVine goes ahead and he goes on this spurt of he's playing games and then he gets injured, you're in the same situation that you were in before when you had Paul George. Essentially, you have a good, three stars on your team, but they're all injury prone. And so that is going to be the situation for you. And so from a playing style, I think it does fit with what Zach LaVine does. But as far as the bigger picture for the Clippers, I'm not sure that that's going to help them out. In fact, Kawhi Leonard has just played in 4 playoff games in the last 2 seasons, including missing the 21-22 season to a knee injury. And so, I don't know if that is going to be enough for the Clippers to go out and trade for Zach LaVine. And right now, the pieces that would have to come back to the Chicago Bulls, I'm not sure that they would be very interested in that because it's going to be a lot of guards that more than likely come back. It's going to be like a Norman Powell, PJ Tucker, Terrence Mann would probably be in there, maybe Bones Highland as well. And that's a real question mark, I think, if the Chicago Bulls were going to make that move. I think you would most certainly want to include a third team, or you would want to try to get a center from them. And I'm not sure that you're going to be able to get the Clippers' only center at this point in time. And right now, look, the Clippers, I think, are in an okay situation with what they have. They brought over Derrick Jones Jr., they've got Kevin Porter Jr. over there as well. And I think that they are going to rely a lot on Nicholas Batum, Mo Bamba. Like, those players are players that I think that they are really going to count on for this season. And Tyronn Lue has already come out and said that he is going to use the Paul George exit as motivation, which suggests to me that Zach LaVine is probably not going to move over to the Clippers, just like it was suggested earlier. In fact, this is what Tyronn Lue had to say just a couple weeks ago when he was like, look, in talking about losing Paul George, he says, I like this challenge. And he's like, I can't wait to prove everybody wrong. And if anybody can get the best out of a situation like this, it is Tyronn Lue. He is absolutely the coach who can go out there and take an injury depleted team and get the max out of it. And also too, that means if stars are not there, I think that Tyronn Lue can absolutely get the max out of it. So with them being interested in Zach LaVine, going to be a lot more of a wait and see, but I don't think that this is going to happen based off what I'm seeing from Tyronn Lue and then these initial comments that were talked about here in the article. Next, it talks about the worst case scenario, and that being the Golden State Warriors, mainly talking about the fact that they are really emphasizing the whole ball movement, player movement situation, and he thinks that that would probably not work for Zach LaVine. And so I must agree with that as well. I think that when you look at what Golden State has done in the past, generally they do win off, yes, the player movement, the ball movement. That is when Golden State is very crisp, and that's when they were winning titles. They were at their peak. But I remember when they had their leap year, right? When they had Klay Thompson go down and they traded for D'Angelo Russell. They moved on from Kevin Durant, or he wanted to move on actually to the Nets. And you get a player in D'Angelo Russell who I believe had just come off being the most improved player, if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow, they got him over there. Here was a very ball dominant kind of guard, and he wasn't able to really get accustomed to their system. It just didn't work. And I think that that's the same thing that would happen if you bring Zach LaVine over in a situation where he's not willing to now play off the ball some more, which is what the entire NBA really wants to see at this point. They want to see, can he take a diminished role and can he still be effective without having the ball in his hand? Because you know that's what you would have to do if you come over to Golden State, even if they don't have Klay Thompson. And let's be honest, when Golden State was at their peak, they also, not only did they have the ball movement and the player movement, but defensively they were a lot better. And a lot of people really forget that. There were times where they would start the second half and you could be tied with them, and I think they would go on about a 12-0 run. Next thing you know, they'd lock you up, they would get the steal, they get the rebound, they finish off the possession, and they're hitting three-point shots. And next thing you know, they've hit 4 of those and they've gone on a 12-0 run. But defensively was one of their main calling cards. I know Draymond Green was a lot better as a defender then. They also had Andre Iguodala. They had a lot of different players that could come in and clamp you up. And I'm not sure that Zach LaVine would be that pivot that's going to keep that window open. And so I think that that would be another tough trade destination for Zach LaVine at this point in time, because you just don't know if he's willing to play off the ball like that. And 2, defensively, I'm not sure you're going to get enough to win another title with Steph Curry there. And so with that being said, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that the Clippers situation is the best for Zach LaVine if a trade is made? Do you feel like the Golden State situation is actually the best case scenario for Zach LaVine if a trade is made there? Or do you feel like it's another team? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments. Want to thank everybody for liking, subscribing, and watching the videos. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest. It means a lot to me as we try to reach 5,000 subscribers before the NBA season starts. Want to let you know that 65.8% of you that watch the videos are not subscribed to the channel. So make sure you continue to shoot that 3 ball on that subscribe button for me, as that means a lot for us as we try to reach that goal of 5,000. And even though we are about 13 days away from training camp and we're still talking about this Zach LaVine nonsense, I'm still saying go Bulls, and I will see you on the next one. Peace, peace, peace.